So, Caitlin Clark's Iowa jersey is getting retired, which is a surprise to absolutely nobody. It shouldn't be a surprise to anyone, and if you are surprised, then I don't think you've been watching basketball.
Did you hear about the $16 ticket to attend the retiring of WNBA Legends jersey? Seats for AEL Wilson's ceremony are essentially being given away, but the real deal is Caitlin Clark's retirement, which is held on the same day and costs $300.
Imagine A'ja Wilson not even being the most popular player of her number to have a jersey retired on the same day. Oh, tough one.
What's happening here? How come the ticket prices for the big day of two of the biggest names in women's basketball are so drastically different? We're going into this tale of two retirements, and I promise you won't believe what we learned about this clash of titans.
Two iconic names, one historic date. On February 2nd, 2025, women's basketball will celebrate A'ja Wilson and Caitlin Clark in ways that cement their legacies forever. As fans debate whose impact is greater, ticket sales tell a story of their own, with Clark's jersey retirement commanding prices more typical of marquee NBA games. We're well past that, folks.
Is it not unbelievable that Wilson's jersey retirement tickets are only $16? Yes, we are discussing a four-time All-Star, WNBA MVP, and the cornerstone of the Las Vegas arena due to his championship triumphs. You would think that fans would be lining up around the block to see Wilson's jersey go up in the rafters given her legendary career, which has seen her dominate the league, win numerous awards, and put women's basketball on the map. However, the truth is that these cheap tickets aren't selling out as quickly as you might think.
And you can still get into the game, general admission at $64. For Caitlin Clark, the cheapest ticket is $522. Yeah, if that tells you anything. $522.
Imagine rows of empty seats at Colonial Life Arena, a venue that ought to have been bustling with excitement, instead of all the excitement and crowds celebrating Caitlin Clark's big day in Iowa. It's a little confusing, but we'll get to that soon, and naturally, A.A. Wilson's fans aren't overly thrilled about.
Auburn. A lot of people are pissed that this is the second day, or the same day. Now, I say a lot of people, A'ja Wilson fans are pissed that it's the same day. From far as I can tell, Caitlin Clark fans don't give a rip about A'ja Wilson's jersey retirement.
This is where things start to become really intriguing. Remember how we said that Wilson's ceremony was having trouble filling seats and that the two events were conflicting? The retirement of Caitlin Clark is a very different matter. Her ticket predicament and the buzz are unbelievable. To put it simply, you won't believe what's taking place there.
And I just showed you on StubHub, the cheapest seat is $522. The most expensive is $8,025. That is pretty unbelievable.
You may be wondering how someone could spend $300 to attend the retirement of a college player's jersey, but that's just what's occurring with Caitlin Clark's ceremony, while AEL Wilson's event is barely selling $16 tickets. The demand for Clark's big day was so great that Iowa had to create more sections to meet it.
From far as I can tell, Caitlin Clark fans don't give a rip about A'ja Wilson's jersey retirement. I'm being honest here.
As far as I can see, A'ja Wilson's retirement from the jersey doesn't bother Caitlin Clark fans. Since I'm being honest, let's take a moment to discuss Caitlin Clark. This college basketball sensation is not only talented, but she's also revolutionizing the game. Fans are scurrying for tickets, treating them like gold, and these $300 standing room spots are disappearing in a matter of minutes. This isn't just a retirement ceremony, it's becoming a full-blown phenomenon.
Fitting on Logo 3. Let's hear it one more time for number 22, Caitlin Clark!
Now, you may be wondering why there is such a huge difference between Clark and Wilson. Well, let's break it down. There is a $284 price difference between the two. On one side, there are Wilson's $16 tickets, which AR isn't selling out of, and on the other, there are fans willing to pay 3 times as much to be in the same building as Clark's jersey.
However, in Iowa City, the retirement of Caitlin Clark's number 22 jersey at Carver Hawkeye Arena during Iowa's game against USC is shaping up to be a much bigger spectacle. And of course, this was a tweet that went out talking about $200 to $784 with a bunch of tickets listed over 1,000.
But here's where it gets really interesting. Clark has something unique going on off the court as well. When she announced that she was retiring her jersey, social media went crazy. We're talking about over 300,000 impressions in just 2 hours, and that's not just fans. That's a movement. What is causing this huge difference then? It's all about engagement. Clark is more than just a player. She's turned into a cultural phenomenon who has people talking, tweeting, and spending money in ways that women's basketball has never seen before. It's as like she's connected to something more than the game itself.
You can get in to see A'ja Wilson for $64. It will cost you at least $500 to get in to Caitlin Clark. $522, I believe. And if you want that one ticket, is it a golden ticket? Is it a Willy Wonka ticket? $8,000.
This demonstrates the effectiveness of social media and contemporary fan interaction. In addition to playing basketball, Clark is transforming the way fans relate to the sport by attracting viewers who may not have ever seen a women's basketball game. There is an energy that keeps fans standing for hours to observe history and how things are done. A.A. Wilson's camp's response to all of this, to put it mildly, is not particularly positive.
This, by the way, is driving A'ja Wilson fans nuts. They're furious that this is happening on the same day. Why are they doing this? Oh my God, don't they realize the impact of A'ja Wilson, blah, blah. What impact? Stop it.
However, you may be wondering how we got to have these two major events on the same day and what the chances are of two number 22 jerseys appearing simultaneously in two different arenas. Well, that's a whole other story, and believe me, it's just as crazy as what we've seen so far. Remember February 2nd, 2025, because it's going to be remembered as one of the most bizarre days in women's basketball history. We're not just talking about a single jersey retirement. We're talking about a whole story that has players, fans, and even the media baffled. Let's dissect how we arrived at this point.
Caitlin Clark jersey retirement ceremony has created some of the funniest discourse I have ever seen. Honestly, it has created genuinely some of the funniest discourse on social media I've ever seen. Because obviously, she's wearing number 22. And they have a game on 2.2, the 2nd of February.
Here's the scoop then. Since April 2024, Iowa had been organizing Caitlin Clark's special day. They chose February 2nd for a reason. There would be a nationally broadcast game against USC, and it also coincided precisely with Clark's jersey number 22, so it felt like the ideal plan.
The 2nd of February. They are playing on the 2nd of February at home in Iowa. So obviously, they are going to retire number 22's jersey on 2.2. They had planned this months, by the way, because they've had the jersey. People saw it in wherever Iowa play. They saw the jersey up there. It was in there. It was like with the jerseys, just hadn't been taken down yet. So everyone knew, oh, it's this season, it's this season. So obviously, it's going to be 2.2.
However, then suddenly, you may be wondering whether this is a coincidence, and you're right to be suspicious. But guess what? Wilson's jersey retirement is revealed on the same day. This is where things get really intriguing. Wilson wears number 22 as well. What are the chances?
Why would it not be 2.2? Because she wears number 22. But it just so happens that there is another number 22. And, like, you know the way the WNBA media are, like, sharing spotlight? They're, like, sharing spotlight with...
This 22's matchup has ignited social media. While some supporters praise it as a historic day for women's basketball, others are polarized. While some are concerned that Clark's meteoric rise to fame may eclipse Wilson, a WNBA legend.
2nd of February is not. A'ja Wilson's getting her jersey retirement. Everyone in that arena in South Carolina are not going to mention Caitlin Clark. Actually, they all are, because they're going to be, instead of celebrating A'ja, they're going to be calling out Caitlin Clark. Am I wrong?
Here's the thing. This wasn't meant to happen, but now that it has, women's basketball is receiving more attention than ever before, and people who might not have previously given it any thought are now discussing Wilson and Clark. It's as if the sport has unintentionally stumbled into its greatest marketing opportunity.
One of the sentiments that was expressed was, oh, it's the same day as A'ja Wilson's. How could you do? First of all, I remember them announcing A'ja Wilson was getting her jersey retired, but I didn't remember the date or anything. When the Clark news broke, I didn't think about A'ja Wilson. And again, as is the case with Caitlin Clark, this only is going to bring more attention to A'ja Wilson's jersey retirement.
However, the key question is what this means for the WNBA. Will the professional league receive more attention as a result of this collision of retirements? Or will it only draw attention to the widening divide between amateur and professional ball? There is no doubt that February 2nd, 2025, will be a day that permanently alters women's basketball.
But that is a supply and demand thing, especially in today's day and age where there's no such thing as a sellout, right? Where you can go to any event you want as long as you're willing to pay for it.
You may be wondering how all of this drama and attempt will impact the WNBA's future, but that's a different story. I promise you it will blow your mind. Okay, you thought the jersey drama was crazy, but wait till you see the viewership figures. The WNBA is sweating due to the gap. When A'ja Wilson is barely packed a neighborhood, let's assume Caitlin Clark could fill an entire city with her fan base.
And we'll get to compare the ratings, because I would assume that game against Auburn will be televised somewhere. Now, whether or not it's nationally televised, like I think the Iowa game's going to end up being, I don't know. But look, when it comes to tickets, it's a supply and a demand issue. It's that simple. It's a good way to gauge one's popularity. You can get in to see A'ja Wilson for $64.
This is the offer. A staggering 18.7 million people watched Clark's final collegiate game, which is not typical. Now, let's examine the 2023 WNBA All-Star Game, which will have A'ja Wilson. How many viewers do you think it will draw? Only 850,000, you ask, considering that Clark hasn't even joined the WNBA yet. Her college game attracted 22 times as many viewers as a professional all-star showdown.
Because there is no universe from a popularity and a draw standpoint where she is worth more than Caitlin Clark. It's not even close. It's not even in the same ballpark. It's not on the same planet. And that's not to be disrespectful. That's just based on the metrics, the numbers, the attendance, the ratings, any way you can measure any of these things.
What does this mean for well-known WNBA players like Wilson? It's a wake-up call. Wilson has the talent, the awards, and the MVP championships, but Clark has something completely different. She's not just playing basketball, she's starting a movement.
Something I'm very thankful for, and obviously I've had some amazing teammates over the course of my 4 years here, and there's been a lot of really good 22s to come before me and play for this program, whether it's Kathleen Doyle or Sam Logic, so that number holds a lot of weight, far beyond my name, and I guess I'm just really grateful.
Imagine how social media went crazy when Clark announced her retirement from Jersey. We're talking about over 300,000 impressions in just 2 hours, and that's not just fans. That's a full-blown phenomena. In contrast, Wilson's news barely caused a stir. These days, it's more about who can get heart-shaped headlines and hashtags than it is about who is better on the court. As much as she is altering the game on the court, Clark is also a content creator, social media celebrity, and brand all by herself, and her fans are consuming it. One Clark supporter didn't hold back when tweeting that A'ja should move her date. The WNBA's face is retiring, but it shows how fervent Clark's fan base is.
Well, there's nothing wrong with two schools retiring respective jerseys on the same day. But secondly, if you wanted the focus to be on A'ja Wilson, she'll probably get more attention as the second, most recognized jersey retirement of that day than she would have if she had the stage all to herself on it.
So, is women's basketball entering a new era? You bet it is. We're witnessing a change in the definition of stardom in this sport as followers, likes, and shares are being counted instead of just trophies. No one could have foreseen this level of impact when Clark entered college as a prodigy, but she is actively changing the definition of the greatest women's players. Clark is not just joining the WNBA, she is changing it before she even sets foot on a professional court.
The greatest women's player there ever was? Maybe it's debatable. but at the very least, she'll be in that debate forever. Her now famous Hawkeye jersey was 2 twos, but she was 1 of 1.
This is more significant than basketball. It concerns the evolving nature of celebrity in women's sports. Fans and league executives alike are taking notice of Clark's demonstration that it is possible to transcend the game and become a cultural legend.
Yes, Mark.
And I always go back to Paulie's article in GQ. There's a difference between great players and phenomenons. No one ever said Caitlin Clark wasn't no one ever said there weren't ever great players before Caitlin Clark. There was never phenomenons, not in my lifetime, with women's basketball. And I went to UConn. So I've seen plenty of great players, but nobody's ever moved the needle in my lifetime like this.
The key question now is what Wilson Clark and the WNBA will do next. There's no denying that women's basketball will change forever, and if you're not watching, you're losing out on history being made. Caitlin Clark's influence extends far beyond the court. She is not just revolutionizing the game, but also dispelling antiquated notions about women's sports. She is redefining what it means to be a star in women's basketball. The WNBA has a fantastic chance here, but they must move quickly. How will they maintain the momentum after Clark joins the league? It's not only about improving marketing, it's also about identifying the factors that help athletes like Clark connect with fans.
But it's also acknowledgement that Caitlin Clark is the golden goose. She's the cash cow. And wherever she goes, ratings follow. The WNBA draft, the doubleheader to open the NBA season. Ratings. I'm going to remind y'all that in the 28-year history of the WNBA, only 9 players in the league's history have eclipsed on-court earnings of $1 million.
The big question is now on February 2nd, 2025. Who will you be watching? A.A. Wilson, the well-known WNBA legend, or Caitlin Clark, the up-and-coming celebrity who is drawing attention? Your decision could have a significant impact on women's basketball in the future. It's not just about 2 players anymore. It's about the future of the entire sport. Are you prepared for what lies ahead?
As February 2nd approaches, fans will gather in Columbia and Iowa City to celebrate extraordinary athletes. Whether through Wilson's steady leadership or Clark's electrifying style, their legacies will be forever intertwined in women's basketball.